Whenever a book gets adapted for the silver screen, the studio behind the adaptation will rarely follow the author's original vision. We've seen it before. The studio will take the liberty to remove a character or change a storyline, but the overall plot will still be there. But what if an adaptation changes everything, and I mean everything, to the point where the only thing resembling the source material is the title? Well, you get something like Stephen King's The Lawnmower Man. Okay, first I'm going to summarize The Lawnmower Man's story, and then I'm going to summarize the movie so you can see how different the two are. The Lawnmower Man was a short story written by Stephen King. It was first published in 1975 for Cavalier magazine and later reprinted in King's book Night Shift in 1978. The short story follows Harold Parkett, a man who hasn't mowed his lawn in over a year, so he hires a gardener to do it. The gardener, or should I say Lawnmower Man, is a bit of an odd fellow. You see, the Lawnmower Man can control the lawnmower with his mind, and he likes to strip naked and crawl on all fours while eating the grass clippings. Harold is of course confused, and he faints after he watches the lawnmower chase and kill a mole, to which the Lawnmower Man eats. After Harold wakes up, the Lawnmower Man tells him that this gardening company is owned by the god Pan, and those who don't appreciate their services are sacrificed. Harold tries to call the police, but he is slaughtered by the lawnmower. The story ends with the police investigating Harold's murder and concluding that he was killed by a schizo-sex maniac. The Lawnmower Man movie, on the other hand, was released in 1992, and it's about Dr. Lawrence Angelo, a man who has discovered a way to increase human intelligence by using virtual reality and special drugs. He recruits a mentally challenged gardener named Job to take part in his experiments. While Job gets smart, he gets too smart and develops telepathy and telekinesis. Oh, and he can turn people into balls. Job then becomes evil, so he uses his powers to get revenge on the people who abused him. He then decides to upload himself to the mainframe or the network or something. Yada yada yada, blah blah blah. He makes this face. He blows up and dies. Plot twist, he survived. You might be wondering, wow, this movie is nothing like the story. How is this even an adaptation? Well, there is this one scene that mirrors the story, and it's a scene where Job controls a lawnmower with his mind and he uses it to kill a minor character named Harold Parkett. That's it. If you were in King's shoes, then you would probably want to sue whoever was responsible for this trash. And well, that's exactly what King did. So before I can talk about the lawsuits, you heard me right, lawsuits, I want to talk about what led up to this. So in 1978, King sold the story's film rights to a corporation called Great Fantastic Pictures Corporation. In 1990, Great Fantastic Pictures Corporation transferred the rights to Allied Productions, and the distribution rights were handed to New Line Cinemas. Allied had trouble trying to adapt the 10-page story into a feature-length film, so they grabbed an unused script of theirs called Cyber God, renamed it to Stephen King's The Lawnmower Man, remember this because this is important, and included the scene where Joe kills Harold. King first learned about the movie in late 1991 after reading about it in a film magazine. He then contacted his lawyer to go out and tell Allied that he did not want a possessory credit for the movie. A possessory credit, for those of you who don't know, is a special kind of credit that tells audiences that the name attached has artistic ownership of the project. Sometimes this credit is found on top of the title, other times the credit is included in the title, like Case in Point. Movie studios rely on possessory credits to draw in more people. King's lawyer was lucky enough to get his hands on the screenplay, and King was not happy with what he read. For the next 5 months, King's lawyer would send out letters to Allied and New Line stating that King did not want the possessory credit, but this fell on deaf ears. 3 days before the movie's release, however, King was invited to an early screening, and while he was impressed with the visuals, he was not impressed with everything else. This is what he said to his lawyer after seeing the movie. Quote, "I think The Lawnmower Man is really an extraordinary piece of work, at least visually, and the core of my story, such as it is in the movie. I think it's going to be very successful, and I want to get out of the way. I want you to make clear to the trolls at New Line Pictures that I'm unhappy with them. I would like to talk to you late this week or early next about doing some brief interviews which will make my lack of involvement clear. For the time being, I'm just going to step back and shut up." Unquote. A few months later, King sued both Allied and New Line. The trial went on for about a year and both parties settled. As part of the settlement agreement, New Line had to remove all mentions of King's name from the movie. But while the agreement was being finalized, the movie was released on home video and, uh-oh, This release had King's credits. But don't worry, boys and girls, because this is where the second part of the agreement comes in. New Line had to send their wholesalers and retailers stickers to cover up the credits, as well as new sleeves with the correction. This agreement proved to be a challenge with New Line, because when it came time to send the stickers and sleeves, it took them weeks to send them out, and even then they sent an insufficient amount. New Line also sent a letter to the wholesalers and retailers recommending they place the stickers and sleeves rather than demanding them, so as a result, some copies still had the mistakes. To make things even worse, New Line had to report their progress to King, and they lied that things were going smoothly. Eventually, King figured out the truth and he sued them again. The court ruled in favor of King and ordered New Line 30 days to fix their mistakes and comply with the agreement. If not, then they had to pay King $10,000 a day until they did. Today, if you watch the movie either on streaming services or DVD, you can see that King's credit is nowhere to be found. King was lucky enough to win. The last time an author had their credit removed from a movie adaptation happened in 1922 with James Oliver Curwood and the movie I Am the Law. So, in the end, while the movie became a cult classic and a gem, King proved to Hollywood that a possessory credit isn't a marketing gimmick, it's a promise to the audience. A promise that what they're going to see is what the artist truly intended.